Let's go.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you ready? All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting of the Genesee County Board of Commissioners to order. Madam Clerk, please take roll, or Mr. Clerk.
Commissioner Nolden. You're muted. I may be muted to myself. Can you unmute us, Kelly? Unmute it. Commissioner Nolden, can you hear me? You're muted.
I'll show unmuted.
Yeah.
Now he's good.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. You're here in Flint, Michigan?
Yes, Flint, Michigan,
Okay.
my office.
Commissioner Winfrey?
Here, Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Ellenberg?
Here, Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Clemens?
Present, Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Young?
Present, Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Shoemaker?
Present, Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Davis?
Present, Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Newman?
Here, Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Peppin?
Present, Davison, Michigan.
Do have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We have invocation by Commissioner Gary Peppin, followed by pledge to the flag by Commissioner Charles Winfrey.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we give you thanks for the world you have made us to build up and enjoy. Help us to be faithful heralds of healing and hope. Grant us the awareness of healing needs of those around us and the compassion to respond willingly to those needs. For you are the source of all hope. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Peppin and Commissioner Winfrey. You have before you the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting on April 28th. It's been moved. Is there support? It's been moved. It's been supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please take roll.
Commissioner Nolden?
Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Commissioner Ellenberg? Commissioner Ellenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. Commissioner Shoemaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. We now have public address time set aside for the public to address the board. First item we will have is Commissioner Newman has an item she wanted to.
We have a Stephanie Skinner here. Can you come up to the podium, please? In honor of your son, Gentry Farmer, I would like to read this into our record. Whereas the Genesee County and the Swartz Creek community are mourning the loss of a valued member and forward thinker, leader on Saturday, April 24th, 2021, with the death of Gentry Farmer. And whereas Gentry Farmer was Ward 4's elected representation on the City Council and a former Planning Commission member. He was first elected to City Council on November 6, 2018, and most recently worked as a Special Events and Business Development Manager for the John P. O'Sullivan Distributing Corporation in Flint. And whereas Farmer was born and raised in Swartz Creek, Michigan, and had an interest in local politics that started when he was just a Cub Scout. He served on the Swartz Creek City Council, the Swartz Creek Hometown Days Committee, and many other civic-type activities. He was actively involved in the YMCA, Camp Kopnakonic in Fenton, and gave blood to the American Red Cross frequently. And whereas known to others as a good friend, genuine person, and strong elected leader, Gentry Farmer will be missed by many. Gentry has been involved in so many things that it is difficult to get all-encompassing statement to grasp where he was as a person, said City Manager Adam Zettel. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners in Genesee County, Michigan, on a motion by Commissioner Deborah Newman, supported by Commissioner Dominique Clemens, honor the memory of Gentry Michael Farmer.
Thank you.
All right, continuing with public address to the board, do we have anybody that sent emails or left communications that aren't present at this time?
We did get several emails from folks, and there are people on the line that have requested to speak as well. I don't know if you want to do the in-person one first and then do those, or how you want to move forward with it.
Let's go ahead and start with the in-person ones then,
Okay.
and remind me to come back.
Yep.
All right, do we have anybody that wishes to address this board that is in the audience? Please come up to the microphone, give us your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes.
My name is Tom Coy, and I'm from Davison, Michigan. And it's unfortunate that supporting our local police officers has become controversial. Our police officers are of all races. They're men and women. They put their lives on the line for us. And with radicals seeking to defund the police, I think it's important that the residents of Genesee County and the government support our local police officers with this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hubert Naeem Roberts, Flint, Michigan. Policing was started in this country to catch, kill, and protect white people. Policing was started to hunt down slaves and enslaved people. And so when you think about what's going on in our country and what's been going on for 500 years, black and brown people have no value, from the prosecutor's office to across the board when you just mentioned about the life of someone that's been lost in Swartz Creek. But when it comes to black and brown people, we are not valued. And so anytime you want to couple that with another flag, when we're dealing with the American flag, or Colin Kaepernick saying that we have a right to live in this country with not being oppressed or sought out to be killed. And again, a lot of times with the election of Donald Trump, when you want to just deny the reality of the truth of this country as far as being an extremely racist country, and you want to deny it and say that black people are the problem, that is a concern. So just like what's going on with the Palestinians and the Israelis, we're fighting the civil war over and over again because, again, black lives, the young man just going to say it's not about defunding the police. We have no value here. Black people have no resources. You white people have all of the resources, and you get mad at us. You get mad at us for just wanting to live in this country without being killed. But it's our fault.
Sir? Sir? Thank you.
It is true. It is true.
Is there anybody else wishing to address the board? Please come up.
How are we brothers? How are we brothers, sir? No, you don't want to live in this country. Man, yesterday I was stopped by this.
Name's Mike Panuski, live in Davison Township. I have great respect for all people in this country, of all races, colors, and everything. And there is a lot of black people in this country that have a lot of money, that have a lot of stuff. So to be talking about white people have all the money and everything, that's not true. You got Will Smith, people like that. A lot of people in Hollywood got a lot of money. A lot of money. And there isn't, people are not, there's no racism in this country as a country. There are bits and pieces around, but not as a whole country. There's not like that at all. We need police, because you get rid of police, don't support our police, the police don't protect us, then what are you gonna have? It's gonna be a major civil war, and everyone's gonna be defending themselves. So if we want a bunch of bloodshed and gunfire on the streets constantly, that's what it's gonna turn out to be if we don't have police. And if we don't respect and support our police, then that's how it's gonna be around here. I don't care what your color is, or what your race is, that's how it'll end up being if we don't have police. So we need to support them and protect them and keep them safe and be behind them 100%.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board from the public here?
Yeah, so my name is DeJuan Robinson, 2712 North Saginaw Street. My thing is this: when we talk about brandishing flags and brandishing blue lines, we have to understand this in a sensitive time. So what you're gonna do is you have a community who is fully against that. And you should know this, and you guys are in the county, you don't understand the city dynamics. That's a bad move. You're only gonna bring problems for yourself. So what we saying is, that's something that we don't wanna fix. We have to fix relationships before we talk about brandishing brands and fly flags and all this stuff. We gotta get with the root of the problem. You missed the issue by just not listening to people. Yeah, you got a big issue going on where some people support the police, some people who don't. But it's really the people who've been subjected to the ill behaviors of police, who see this on a day-to-day basis. See, some of you folks never been subjected to that. You never witnessed it, so you can't speak from it. What you can say is, I have to understand why people feel like that. And it's just not black people, because trust me, black people value each other. And so when we have a problem in our issue, we all band together. And that means that we got to stand strong against these issues. And this is something that we standing against. And in the Flint community, you want to definitely hear that voice, because it definitely has that national attention, and it definitely has that diligency. And we're going to fight every issue that we don't feel comfortable with. We don't feel comfortable flying flags, blue flags, or thin blue line flags on county buildings. So you're hearing it from the people in this community. And people from the county may have a different perspective, but you got to take all in consideration. So we're trying to move this city, this community, this nation. We got to move it forward. But before you can say we get into the goals, we got to fill in that space, which is the work. And we ain't did that yet. We ain't nowhere near doing that. So you're just putting a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound. It's eventually gonna leak out again. So I hope y'all are taking into consideration what folks are saying. And I understand
Time's
some
up.
people support police.
Thank you.
I understand that most of us don't.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mark Hornstra, I'm the police chief in the city of Flushing. And I come here today not to talk about racial issues, but to try to give a history to the board about the thin blue line and what it represents.
I just sent it to everybody.
Sorry, I muted him.
I'm sorry. I've been in police work now for going on 42 years. The term thin blue line has been in existence as long as I can remember. The term has been used to refer to, refers primarily to police officers because they wear blue, but it's all law enforcement. and it distinguishes the line between order and disorder. And it's not, it never, until recently, has never been really identified as a symbol of racism. It's been a symbol of law enforcement. I believe that the Flint community, as well as majority of Genesee County, believe that law enforcement is necessary, and the flag has been a recent representation in the last couple of years of the term that's been in existence for a long time, referring to police as that line between order and disorder. So it has not been historically a racial issue. It is merely a representation of the history or the support of law enforcement. And I believe that as being a member of the Genesee County Association of Chiefs of Police for 14 years, the chiefs in this county work diligently to try to stay current on all of the social issues and strive towards providing equitable law enforcement. So just wanted to share that with the commission, not advocating for or against, but trying to give a history of the thin blue line. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else from the audience that would like to address this board?
Good morning. Lanny Valentine from Davison Township. Every time one of those men walk out of their door with that uniform, they become a target. They're the only thing that protects you and I as average citizens from any riots or any disorder that could come. They're here to protect every one of us, black or white, whatever color, whatever race, whatever creed. I don't think that they even have any idea when they walk out that they are creating a disturbance in the black community. And I don't think they do it. The city of Flint has a large amount of black officers. Saginaw has a large amount of black officers, even the county and the sheriff's department. We have prosecutors from the black community. So it's not a flag that says we're against the black community or we're against anybody else. We're here to have law and order. Now, the wheels of justice sometimes moves very slowly. And I just understand, I saw a report where our prosecutor's office is, 1 year behind on our cases, David? And so we have to have law and order. If we don't have law and order, we don't have justice. We don't have justice, we have chaos. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else from the audience that would like to address the board?
My name is Lindsay Parks, Flushing, Michigan, and I think what these men are stating today is that there are views that police have in their mind when they go into the inner city of Flint, but not every police officer feels that way. So I do fully support the thin blue line, but I also support the thin red line, because those men and women that go out there to protect us are there every day without fail. So while I understand how you feel, I may not fully understand, but I have seen it. I have lived in the city of Flint. I do fully sympathize with you. But at the same time, I've also seen those officers go out without fail, to include my husband, as a firefighter and as an officer, go out and lay his life on the line for any individual regarding their race, regarding their age, who they are as a people. Bad people make bad decisions. Good people make good decisions, and that's what we should base this on. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to address the Board of Commissioners? Seeing none, I'll move on to Josh. I'm sorry.
I would like to address the board.
Did I wait?
No, go ahead.
Oh,
Laura.
okay. She was talking on Zoom. I'm Dana Whitehead from Mount Morris, Michigan, and I'm here and was asked to speak on behalf of the retired Flint Police Association. And they wanted me to let you know that they're not here not because they're unable to be here. They're not here because they're insulted. They're insulted that this would even be an issue. We should have complete unity in this county commission when it comes to supporting our police officers. You wouldn't have a problem with it when someone's breaking in your house. Whose phone are you going to pick up and call? You're going to call them. So all of this is all politicized. And enough is enough with the politicizing of our county commission. We should all support the police, all first responders. This should not be happening. This should not be going on. And some of you commissioners, I understand, claim that this is a racist flag. Well, that's an insult to our black police officers, an absolute insult that their lives have no value, even as black police officers. And living in Genesee County, we know we have a lot of black police officers. And if I were a black police officer, I'd be lined up to that street because this is insulting to them for you to call their flag a racist flag. Now, I think we should support our police, all first responders. If it means flying a flag, then we fly a flag. We don't seem to have a problem flying LGBTQ flags. We don't seem to have a problem with that. Well, you know, that can be offensive to some people. Where do we draw the line of offensive and not offensive? We elected our county commissioners to do a job, and it wasn't to be political, so that they're working to look at their next elections. And we all know what this is about. And enough's enough. We're tired of it. We'll remember all this at election time. Thank you very much, and God bless the police.
Thank you.
Good morning. Dave Huffman, Flint Township, Genesee County. Number one, I understand both sides of the issue, what's going on with this issue with the Thin Blue Lives Matter flag and some of the other people that have a problem with it. But I think one of the problems is the Genesee County Commissioners, in all due respect, you are not legislators. You are overseers of the county monies that come into all the departments of Genesee County. I don't think it's really your job to come in here and start acting like a legislative body and make social decrees favoring one side or another side of a political argument. I think that has really caused a lot of controversy. It's caused a lot of the taxpayers to question what's going on down here, especially when everybody knows on the news you have your own problems with a budget that, and a lot of news media has covered this, that this Genesee County budget could be taken over by the state of Michigan. It's in trouble. So I really think you ought to focus on what your job is down here instead of becoming some type of social warriors. Now, another thing I'd like to say, and this goes from my father, who was a township trustee in Flint Township years ago. I've heard it from local representatives. When Mr. Layton was the township clerk in Flint Township, the number one priority of any person that sits on a board that's an elected official is the safety and the well-being of their citizens. If you poo-poo the police and besmirch them in any way, shape, or form, you are putting a real bad flavor out into the community, because if people do not feel safe in their community, they'll leave the community. So I'm here to support the police, and I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the audience here that would like to address the Board of Commissioners? Seeing none, Josh, could you please go ahead and address people that are online?
Yep, we do have 3 people that have their hand raised to speak. The first one is Joe, and I'm not sure how you say the last name, so I apologize.
Hi, yeah, so it's going to be Joe Ikigai. Ikigai is a concept that I'll explain to you all another time, but I won't be doing so right now because I want to use my 2 minutes wisely.
Where are you
I
from,
do want to
please?
say, I'm sorry,
Where are you from?
I'm from Flint, Michigan. I also would like clarification. At the beginning of this meeting, you all held a vote and it was unanimous. Was that so we could move forward and have this flag flying in the county?
No, that was a vote for the minutes.
Okay, cool. Just making sure because I didn't think so. It happened really fast. Okay, so yes, I definitely think that you can be Black and contribute to oppressive systems. So when we speak about Black officers, they are Black before they put on any form of a uniform. That badge can offer them certain protections in a different class. But it does not erase their Blackness. When we talk about what the police stand for, Brother Roberts was bringing up slave catching, which is the origin. So you have to be considerate when you're talking about what a country is built on. The same way America slaughtered millions of Native Americans, indigenous people, because they were here before America existed. The same way that they enslaved and slaughtered and tortured and raped a lot of Black people, and then said, go free, but do not read, right? We didn't give you that education, right? We don't give you financial literacy. We don't give you any of the tools and skills you might need to succeed. And when you try to, we will bomb you like we did in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And there's many instances of the American government directly attacking Black people. So I say this to say, we do want to abolish the police and actually we want to fund some community policing. I think that it would be much more effective if we did some type of follow-up with people. I was attacked inside these borders. Flint, Michigan, domestic violence is not taken seriously by police officers. This is nationally, not just within our county. I was hospitalized and it took 7 hours for me to get a report taken. It took days for this person to become arrested. So when we talk about that line between order and chaos, this shit is already chaotic. Excuse my French. Homelessness and depression and suicide are all on the rise. So if the police are here to protect us and somehow serve us, these issues would be resolved. We also wouldn't fly flags. We would invest in their mental health. Why is domestic violence and suicide so high amongst police
15
officers
seconds.
themselves? Why are they allowed to go into these situations where they have to see murders and dead bodies and we don't invest in their actual persons? What the fuck is this flag going to do for them? Nothing but incite rage in someone like myself who has been a member of this community and feels very slighted by the
Your
police
time is
because
done,
I have
ma'am.
not been.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Arthur Woodson.
All right.
Rude.
Good morning, Arthur.
Good morning. My name is Arthur Woodson, 402 West Stewart Avenue, Flint, Michigan. Let's talk about that blue thin line flag. As I said before, you all stepped into a mud hole because you shouldn't be flying any flags. I want Black Lives Matter flag flown next. The blue line flag was probably okay in the beginning, and then it was adopted by white supremacists. It was co-opted into the Confederate and Nazi and all the rest of them. You had an issue with Colin Kaepernick just taking a knee. This flag was flown in the insurgent down in DC, and it was lawlessness down there. You didn't see anything wrong with that. But when Black Lives Matter went to march down there, they had National Guards, the Army, the Air Force, and everybody else down there. You all, and what makes it so bad, over in Davidson, I go fishing over there. People ride by and say, N-word, take your ass back to Flint. It's highly prejudiced over there. And, you know, the sad part is when we bring up racism, whites, instead of talking with us, you want to start going against us. That flag represents police brutality to me. I got stopped 7 times in 1 week. My rights are violated every time I step out here as a Black man. And you all don't understand that. And for you to get up here and say that we are against the police, that's ludicrous. That's the first thing that you say, or either Black on Black crime. You have white on white crime. You have that also. So that cold blue silence where you don't speak out, the bad cops don't speak out against the good cops. I mean, the good cops don't speak out against the bad cops. That happens also. Justice is not for the Blacks here in the city of Flint. Don't fly that flag. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Caitie O'Neill?
Hi, I am from Davison, Michigan, and I strongly oppose flying the thin blue line flag. This flag emerged in response to the Black Lives Matter movement. The thin blue line as a concept may have been around before, but this is a new flag, and we're supposedly patriotic people wanting to fly this flag. It's a distortion of the American flag. You wouldn't tolerate that kind of distorted flag from anyone. You'd say they were insulting veterans if anyone else tried to modify the American flag in this way. And what it amounts to is pledging allegiance to the cops instead of the United States. It's an authoritarian outlook, and it's not patriotic. We don't need to support our cops with a flag. Whether you support the police or not, you don't need a flag for that. And you certainly don't need to distort the American flag. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Bishop Bernadelle Jefferson.
Good morning. I am Bishop Bernadelle Jefferson, Mount Morris, Michigan, and also a Flint City clergy representing at the Flint Police Department, at the Sheriff's Department. We were deputized there. So when I say I support 100%, but I don't support anything that would bring division to our communities. And if flying a flag would bring division, then we don't need to fly the flag. What is it saying? We need to know not only what it represents to the police, but what do it represent to the community where you're going to be flying at. If it's sending the wrong message, why would you want to bring division? Why would you want to bring separation? And so to fly a flag would bring division and separation in our community. And we have fought to try to bring some type of unity. I go to marches. I'm part of marches. I'm part of the things that happen in our community. I'm there for both sides. That don't nothing happen to my people and don't nothing happen to the officers. I said that I would bring peace. And this is a time that I stand to bring peace. We're asking for you not to fly the flag. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like the next speaker is somebody named Bada 100.
Hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
You just muted yourself, Bad.
Would you like us to go on to the next speaker?
Yes, go ahead.
And then we can circle back. Dakota.
Hello? I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm here to ask a couple questions.
Could you please give us your name and your
Yes, my name is
location?
Taylor, and I'm a Flint resident for almost 79 years. Since I just wanted to report this out, New York Times reported that since Derek Chauvin's trial began in March, more than 3 people a day have died at the hands of law enforcement. I want to know if you belong to a house of worship, a barbershop, a neighborhood that is segregated, which means you choose not to be with me. That means you may fly that flag where I wouldn't. We should be working on fixing police relationships within their own units, but yet that piece is absent. To the sheriff that spoke today about the history of this flag, it only carries racism, and it's not a flag for a community. And how can white people express my feelings on that flag? You'll have to come to me, and that's why I'm here today. And why is this county currently requesting something like this? This is only going to create derision. I would like to thank Mr. Robinson and Mr. Roberts, and for the people that spoke about trying to fly an LGBTQ speech, speaking negatively, which I think this all came from a similar individual. So if you're living in a segregated community, you should think about what this flag will do to the people that choose not to live in a segregated community, because we believe in
15
all.
seconds.
You interrupted me. I couldn't hear you. May I have my time back?
You're down to 7 seconds, ma'am.
I think that the commission is much too hostile to public that comes to speak, to give of our time for free, where you're being paid, and we don't expect you to be rude to us, especially your elders, since I did mention my age.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
whoever interrupted me should apologize.
We appreciate your time. Thank you.
And do you apologize? Apologize.
Next speaker, Josh.
Our next speaker is Dakota Starr.
This is being handled so inhumanely. I just want to throw that out there. Like, these are actual people's lives.
Dakota Starr.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners and fellow
I would
residents
just
of
like to point out the time was not being enforced in the room there. It only started being enforced when people.
Like, seriously, dude, you can't let people finish their sentences. That's so ignorant.
Would you like me to remove them from the meeting?
Josh, you voted in Flint and you didn't even live in
How are
Flint.
they
Shame on you.
Do you want me to take them out of the meeting? Please.
Josh, stop. Just stop.
Do you have to be in a chat room to be called on? Do you have to be in a chat room? Can you see the people who's on there and call on them also?
Ms. De Loney will get to you.
Yes, this is Ms. De Loney. I would.
We'll get to you when it's your turn.
Okay, I thought I had been chat and I couldn't get in there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Dakota Starr. Now up.
Good morning, commissioners and fellow residents of Genesee County. I am calling this morning to voice support over the proposed resolution to declare May Police Appreciation Month, but to strongly oppose the flying of so-called thin blue line flags on county buildings. Not only would this symbol further the feelings of disenfranchisement so many in our community are trying to work past, but could further strain the vital relationship between the police officers and the community they serve to protect. Perhaps more alarming regarding this is the complete lack of due respect for our national flag and the code, which is very clear about, quote, never have placed on it or attached to it any mark, insignia, letter, word, number, figure, or drawing of any kind, end quote. I urge the board, as well as fellow residents, to think on the best way to truly support our police officers without displaying a mockery of our national flag. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jaleel X.
Yes, thank you. What I want to do is similar to what the Flushing police officer did, which is educate this body. There was once a symbol called the Tetragrammaton, which originated as a hieroglyphic on a pyramid. That symbol later became known famously as the swastika carried by Adolf Hitler and the racist regime who tortured the Jews. So because the thin blue line originated as something that was to show a line between doing right and wrong or good and evil, it was hijacked and taken in by white racist terrorist groups who stormed the Capitol, who run around with the name as Proud Boys, who drive up and down Davidson, Flushing area, and mostly Swartz Creek with big old monster trucks with the flags hanging off the back with a Confederate flag next to it. And you telling us that this isn't racist, this isn't has anything to do with how people feel, but this is a flag about the police. No, it's not. Just like the Tetragrammaton is no longer a symbol that represented the four seasons of the earth and the four corners of the world, but it represents Hitler. Now the thin blue line represents the Proud Boys and the other racist group that run around doing domestic terrorism in America, mostly against the black and brown people. So I don't think the flag should be flown, and that's
15
history
seconds.
of this body. Now you've learned something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should have been cut off for calling our police Nazis.
Next speaker is Ms. De Loney.
Good morning. My name is Hill De Loney, and I reside in Flint, Michigan. I'm also the president emeritus of the NAACP Flint branch. I am here to state emphatically that I am against your resolution to fly the thin blue line flag on any and all public buildings in Flint and Genesee County that are supported by public taxes. For the first time in over 500 years, when the police was organized to return runaway slaves without fear of reprisal, and the year of the crucifixion of Mr. George Floyd, a police officer was found guilty of murder of a black man, you decide to put forth a resolution that is designed to show pride and respect for the police. Is that your way of showing us that you disapproved of the not guilty verdict of Mr. George Floyd's murder? Is that your way of saying we shall show, quote, those people that we object to that verdict and nobody will connect that possibility? There are only two African American commissioners who, although elected from two predominantly Black American wards, but must represent all the African Americans living in Flint and Genesee County, because that would have been expected outcry from the commissioners who have African Americans and other people of color living in their wards. There was no outcry, but there was an enthusiastic support of the resolution from some commissioners. At a time when people throughout the world have begun and believe that the African Americans have
15
been
seconds.
Mine 2 minutes up? Is that what you're saying?
You had 15 seconds.
Oh, well, you took some of them away from it. I have been in the world since the beginning of the enslavement of the Africans in America and began put African Americans in written as 3/5 people. You still acting as if we are 3/5 of a people. For the first
Ma'am,
time
your
in the
time is
history of
up.
America, my 15 seconds are up. With the bottom line, we're asking you
Ma'am,
to not put that blue flag
You
up.
mute her.
thank you.
There is nobody else on the Zoom meeting that has their hand up, Mr. Chair.
Oh,
All right, could you
I would like
please
to speak, please.
read the emails that you had
Stephanie,
received
Stephanie
also?
Ward is asked to speak.
I
Mr.
apologize. I
Josh.
couldn't
Yes,
find
and
the
I'm
hand
asking
thing.
to speak also.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there are a number of other people who are requesting to speak.
Okay. Who did you have, Josh?
Stephanie Ward was first, and then I think Claire McClinton, and I see Naira Sharif has her hand up on the Zoom now as well.
All right, Stephanie Ward?
Thank you. My name is Stephanie Ward. I live at 2218 Windermere Avenue, Flint, Michigan, 48503. I'm here to speak specifically on Resolution 2021-361. I understand the sentiment behind the proposed motion to declare the month of May as Police Appreciation Month, as I sit on the Flint Community Advisory Task Force on Public Safety. And I sit on the board with many wonderful police officers, and I commend them for the job that they do. However, I am hesitant to have a flag that is associated with such controversy, as it is seen as an opposition symbol to the racial justice movement. It's been seen flown at the insurrection on January 6th. It's been seen at many rallies such as Unite the Right. And we even saw it at our own protest last year when they, kind of stormed the Capitol here in Lansing. So with this flag being a highly recognizable symbol of controversy, I don't think it's appropriate for the county to take the stance, as many residents will see this as contradictory to public safety. I heed caution because although I understand the flag is meant as a symbol of solidarity with law enforcement, but for the sake of public safety, I urge the board to not have this controversial flag flown on public property. I thank you for my time.
Thank you.
Mrs. Lott, would you let me know when 11 o'clock is? I need to take some medicine.
I believe Claire McClinton is on the line and asked to speak, and then Naira Sharif will be next.
All right. Claire, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
All right. Can you give us your name and location, and you'll have 2 minutes?
Claire McClinton, Flint, Michigan. I'm just really outdone that this resolution is being presented at this time. Why is this resolution being presented now? We are in a midst of a public community controversy over the police murders that even since George Floyd has been going on and on and on. And why would you now decide to pitch this resolution? You are creating more havoc, and you're creating distrust of public elected officials to try to heal this community and reimagine public safety and promote the well-being of the entire community. Why are you bringing this up now? Now, Commissioner Newman, out of her own mouth at the press conference, says, quote, "I understand the symbol has been hijacked by some organized racist organization." That's your reason not to pass it. Out of her own mouth. One of the proponents of the resolution. Why would you bring this matter before this county right now? Somebody needs to answer that. In the midst of the George Floyd issue, the conviction of his murderer, and you would bring this up now? If you, this commission,
15 seconds.
You are completely tone deaf and out of touch with the community, the entire community, because even though Black and brown people are the victims, many thousands and millions of people stood up against that situation. Why are you doing this now? Answer that, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Naira Sharif.
Keisha. Naira Sharif, 3714 Beecher Road, Flint, Michigan. And I'm going to read a little bit from an article from Harper's. And this is from the person who actually designed the thin blue line flag. One day near the end of 2014, a 19-year-old white University of Michigan student named Andrew Jacob was sitting in his dorm thinking about the police. All he seemed to hear that fall were complaints about the cop who strangled unarmed Eric Gardner, the cop who shot unarmed Michael Brown, the cop who killed 12-year-old Tamir Rice. Black lives matter, sure, Jacob thought, but what about blue lives? Jacob, who grew up in an affluent Detroit suburb, was not from a police family and had no interest in going to law enforcement, but his father recently started a scholarship for children of police officers, and one of his childhood friends had become a cop. Jacob's friend told him about the thin blue line, a term police pride representing the line they believe they hold every day between chaos and order. Why not, Jacob wondered, give the police a flag to wave? Now, if you listen to that, you know that the origins of the American flag with a line in it originated to obscure, the conversation of police killing unarmed Black people. And so it tried to reframe this conversation to what kind of became the answer to the Black Lives Matter movement, the Blue Lives Matter movement. But I believe that you should not, I don't really believe in the deification of one profession over other professions, because people choose to become police officers. like people choose to become teachers, or people choose to, like go into other professions. I
15
believe
seconds.
that you honor people by paying them and making sure that they have health insurance and compensation, and when they're retired, their stuff isn't cut. So those are ways for you to honor like all workers
Thank
that
you,
work for the
Nair.
county, not just police. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is, I believe it's Mary Lorah-Ha.
Good morning. I'm Mary Laura Hammond, 5th Ward Flint, commissioners and fellow citizens. I'm in agreement with many of the other speakers who rise in opposition to flying the Blue Lives Matter flag. However, I want to raise an additional point of concern that only one other speaker has raised, and that is that according to the U.S. Flag Code Respect for Flag, item G, the flag should never have been placed upon it, nor any part of it, nor attached to it any mark, insignia, letter, word, figure, design, picture, or drawing of any kind. A U.S. flag that has been modified is not in accordance with the U.S. Flag Code. It is disrespectful to the flag, and this should not be sanctioned by any elected body. There is controversy to this, and I understand that there are people on both sides of it. However, I want to rise to also speak that anyone who denies that there is racism in this country is not fully looking at what has happened in the past and what is still happening. So I reiterate my request for the commissioners to vote down this resolution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, it doesn't look like anybody else is online to speak. Josh, would you be able to read the emails into the record that you received?
Yes, I can do that. Dear Chairperson Young and honorable members of the commission, I am a resident of the 6th District, and I stand firmly opposed to the portion of the proposed resolution that, in part, aims to display a symbol that has been dangerously tainted and violates the flag code of the United States of America from the flagpoles of our county facilities. The desire by certain members of the commission to fly this flag from county buildings so soon after it was by the insurrectionists who assaulted our nation's capital can only mean that they intend to perpetuate the dog whistle that was so loudly heard and that fateful and horrible day. According to the Marshall Project, those who fly this flag have said it stands for solidarity and professional pride within a dangerous, difficult profession and a solemn tribute to fallen police officers. While these are noble gestures, and I support these notions, one must realize that it has also been flown by white supremacists, appearing next to Confederate flags at the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, and it was used by the insurrectionists who assaulted our nation's capital, some of them even using this flag to harm the very law enforcement officers they claim to support. More troubling for the fiduciary responsibility that this commission has, county officials in Oregon recently paid $100,000 to a black employee of a law enforcement agency there after she said she was harassed by coworkers for complaining about her colleagues displaying the flag at work. Of course, there's a serious problem with the thin blue line flag itself. The flag code of the United States, the code is federal law, and it says the flag should never have placed on it or attached to it any mark, insignia, letter, word, number, figure, or drawing of any kind. The flag always should be displayed exactly as it is. While the code establishes protocol for the flag, no penalties can be imposed for violating it. We understand that the right to free expression guaranteed by the First Amendment to the Constitution allows people to profit from the sale of these flags. Indeed, the Supreme Court has courageously ruled that people have a First Amendment right to burn or deface their own flag. But people who love their country should treat their flag, the country's symbol, with respect. While people have a right to disobey the flag code, a Genesee County government flagpole should not be party to it. Surely Genesee County can find another way to show its appreciation for police officers and defend them against the anarchist smears of racism. The recent and emotionally charged history and appropriation of this flag's usage by avowed white supremacists fosters an us versus them mentality. The police of our county and our county residents should work together in order to produce a safe community. We should respect the role of the other. The appropriation of this flag by groups aligned with the Capitol insurrectionists will make our community feel as if they are facing a potential enemy or a threat, and this will most certainly hinder any chance at creating a positive relationship. If we are to truly support our LEOs, as we should rightly do, then the whole commission should work to gain additional support for the efforts of our sheriff, Chris Swanson, to help more inmates re-enter our community through the IGNITE program, and Prosecutor David Layton to advance his office's restorative justice programs. Advancing this resolution does nothing to advance these worthy priorities and in fact could harm the positive relationships these programs build, and at the same time it exposes our county government to litigation and restitution. Please, I urge all of you to vote no on this resolution. Tim Drager, Fenton, Michigan. This was from Bobby Walton and Davison, Michigan. I have not communicated with you in a long while, but I am now inclined to do so. When I heard the BOC was considering a resolution to fly a flag honoring the police and no other of our public servants, I became concerned. I honor my police. In fact, I worked with the police unit as an AmeriCorps victim service advocate in 1996. I respect and admire the work of the police and their dedication. However, I wonder why it is important to single out this group for honor and recognition above others. Is it important? You will hear many arguments both for and against this, and I recognize you may feel you are in a danger politically if you vote against the resolution. I urge you to consider the slap in the face this action truly represents when you leave out others who work to keep us safe. How about our firefighters? How about those who administer our other agencies and departments that protect public safety? How about those in our health department who work tirelessly to keep us healthy and free from COVID? How about those who administer our many other facets of justice, our courts and prosecutors? It seems to me this resolution is being introduced to make a point and gain political kudos. Believe me, it gains no political kudos from me. I would much prefer a flag be flown that says we honor and respect those who work tirelessly to keep us safe. And that was from Bobby Walton in Davison, Michigan. This is from Donna Anderson in Fenton, Michigan. I am not able to attend the meeting in the morning due to prior commitments, but I ask that my comments be read into the record. I am writing about the proposal for Police Appreciation Month and the requirement that for county buildings to fly the thin blue line flag. The timing for this event is in very poor taste. Less than a month after we watched Derek Chauvin murder George Floyd repeatedly on our televisions over the course of 6 weeks. Further, requiring Genesee County buildings to display the thin blue line flag is inappropriate when it becomes a symbol for white supremacy and the murdering of African Americans by police. 19.5% of the population in Genesee County is African American, and Flint, where most of these flags would be flown, is 56% African American. This proposal, coming after the just conviction of Derek Chauvin, reminds me of the Confederate statues that were erected during the Jim Crow era to remind former slaves that the whites were still in charge. We are better than this. And again, that's from Donna Anderson, City of Fenton resident. Can you go get me some water, please? This is from Gerald Van Wormer. To the Honorable Genesee County Board of Commissioners, it has recently been brought to my attention that there is some controversy surrounding the flying of the thin blue line flag on Genesee County property on Police Officers Memorial Day. I've been told that this is considered a racist symbol and should not be flown. This, I take, is a personal insult and political correctness run amok. The thin blue line flag represents the men and women who volunteer to protect our communities at great risk to themselves as well as their families. Name one other profession where you have to alter the route you take to and from work to avoid being followed home by some criminal you had contact with. Think about that for a minute. Not one of you commissioners have to take that kind of action. I could go on and on about the defensive tactics an officer or deputy sheriff has to take to keep their family safe. I will concede that not all police officers are qualified to do this kind of job. Many tarnish the badge on a daily basis. But I will submit they are the vast minority who get into the profession. People get into policing because they want to make a difference in their communities. The pay is not great, the hours are lousy, you are always second guessed by Monday morning quarterbacks, and when you retire, the municipality that you work for attempts to steal back your retirement benefits. This is a big reason why bad apples get hired. Nobody that has education sees police work as a viable career opportunity anymore. As far as the thin blue line flag being a racist symbol, that couldn't not be further from the truth. Our flag began life as a way to honor the fallen officers that gave their lives for their communities. Our flag was a way for the profession to rally around the families and loved ones of officers who were killed in the line of duty. The fact that our flag was hijacked by the insurrectionists that attacked the Capitol and attacked our democracy on 6 January 2021 should show they are not true supporters. Watching that video, you would see the members of this mob were using that flag to attack the Capitol police officers who were defending the very democratic government of the United States of America. This was just a prop for those people who have no idea what the flag represents. To call it racist is a personal insult. If not for this thin blue line of officers who willingly place themselves between our government institutions and that pulsating mob, we could very well be living under a dictatorship this very second. Would any of you have had the courage to place yourself in this type of harm? Think about that and let it sink in for a minute. I worked for the Sheriff's Department as a police deputy for more than 20 years before retiring in February of '08. Not one time in that 20 years did witness any behavior that I would consider to be racially motivated by anybody white, black, male, or female. Thank you. Anybody that wants to turn our symbol of unity and support into a prop to further divide our community is being very short-sighted. I would go as far as to offer they are showing the same kind of discrimination they protest against. Tarring every police officer, deputy sheriff as being no good as a general statement is just wrong. Yes, there are people in the police profession that should not be in the profession. I'm sorry. Stricter hiring standards, education requirements, better supervision and training, and better pay and benefits will attract a better, more well-rounded person to the profession that is capable of critical thinking and be less apt to being involved in poor police work. We're glad some people are still willing to take on society's most difficult problems in spite of the current lack of public support. This is a thankless profession that not only destroys a person's body, but destroys their mental health as well. In spite of all the obstacles, we still put on a uniform and go out into the street and do the best we can to protect in spite of tremendous risk. I fly my flag on my house 24/7 with great pride. I want my brothers and sisters in law enforcement to know when they drive by my house, they have a safe haven to come to whenever they need it. They know that at least one household on my street has their back. Having been in the street knowing I was a hated target just because I wore the uniform of my community was a very sinking feeling. To know there was no place to go if something went wrong was scary. Don't misconstrue my words into thinking I'm saying all police actions are proper and justified, because they are not. However, these incidents are few and far between, and when they do occur, they are spun by the media to fit their agenda to drive ratings. They do not wait for the evidence to be collected and make the educated and just decision based on facts. I believe that any misconduct should be dealt with swiftly and justly, but don't paint us all with the same broad brush. That's what the protesters are protesting for. We are asking for the
You
same.
get unlimited time if you write a letter.
I'm requesting that our thin blue line flag be flown on the Genesee County property so the law enforcement community knows that people they work for has their back. If not, you know, you're no better than the others that are trying to divide the country. And that was from Gerald Van Warmer. Andrew Prue sent this in, City of Fenton resident. The thin blue line flag and the Blue Lives Matter movement was created in response to the Black Lives Matter movement. It was not created in a vacuum. The flag is a symbol of white supremacy masquerading as support for the police. To fly this flag at county buildings is to declare that the County of Genesee is not an inclusive institution and citizens' social problems will not be addressed. If someone says that this flag is not a white supremacy symbol, they are either a liar or willfully ignorant. And again, that was Adam Prue from Fenton. This is Linda Hoff, Grand Blanc, Michigan. As a resident of Genesee County for over 20 years, I feel compelled to raise my concern over the proposal being considered to fly the flag in question. Politics aside, my concern is focused on the simple fact that our government and our government buildings are there to represent the constituents they serve, aka the people. Regardless of how any commissioner may personally feel, their role is to represent their constituents. As such, it is my belief that there should never be a consideration to fly any flag that is not officially appropriate, i.e. U.S. flag, state flag, county flag. To seriously consider such a request would, in my opinion, be short-sighted and inappropriate. Plus, it could well create a precedent that could bring a deluge of other special interest groups who feel their own flag should also be raised, thereby creating a need for increased government rulemaking, debate, and time away from actual governing. Additionally, the thin blue line flag appears to violate the flag code. While people may want to personally show support for the flag and the message, however construed as commissioners, you cannot ignore the fact that it became a popular image under circumstances that are not uniformly viewed as examples conducive of good governance. I sincerely hope the Genesee County Commissioners do not put themselves into a situation that would put the county or their own reputation in a negative position, demonstrating a lack of due diligence in the representation of county interests. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration. Linda Hoff, Grand Blanc, Michigan. This is from Randy Chancellor of Grand Blanc, Michigan. I am a constituent of Commissioner Young's that voted for you and plan to do so again in the future. That sounds like you got at least one vote. I'm a 56-year-old white educated manager for GM. I am only adding this for context. I've seen that there is consideration for having Blue Lives Matter flag flown over county offices. This is a disgrace. Many of us have known for some time this flag has been used by white supremacists and other right-wing supporters as more of Black Lives Don't Matter flag. Not to mention, I have now seen this flag noted as the fascist flag of America. It was also used during Capitol riot to assault police. Pulled up quickly on Google multiple images. This has nothing to do anymore, if it ever did, with supporting police. I urge you and your fellow commissioners to reject this poor idea. Again, that was Randy Chancellor, Grand Blanc, Michigan. This is from Ashley Prue. I am writing to voice my concern regarding the proposal for Police Appreciation Month, and more specifically, the portion that would require that county flags flying county buildings fly the flag known as the thin blue line flag at all county buildings for any period of time. My understanding is that the true and intended meaning associated with this flag is currently debatable. While the claim is that this flag purports to be in support of police and their safety, the flag has also been associated with and adopted by groups that support the continuance and promotion of white supremacy. That, in and of itself, is incredibly concerning because Genesee County should take a strong stand against any symbolism that is or could be associated with white supremacy. In addition to that concern, I have always had concerns regarding the use of this particular flag separately from the message it purports to convey, which, as indicated, is allegedly for the support of police and police safety. Regardless of the meaning of the flag, the fact of the matter is that this is an alteration of our American flag. The thin blue line flag, whether you support or stand against what it purports to stand for or not, is an alteration of the American flag in direct violation of the United States Flag Code. Specifically, the flag should never have placed upon it, nor any part of it, nor attached to it any mark, insignia, letter, word, figure, design, picture, or drawing of any nature. While individuals certainly have the constitutional right to freedom of speech and expression, by displaying an altered flag, if they decide it suits the statement they would like to make, Genesee County government should not support and promote the alteration of the United States flag by mandating that governmental units fly said flag on governmental buildings. It violates the code, and it disrespects those who have fought to defend the freedoms associated with our American flag. I respectfully request that each of you vote no for this proposal, specifically in relation to the mandatory flying of the thin blue line flag on county buildings. And that was Ashley Prue, City of Fenton. This is from Todd Bryson, Fenton, Michigan. I'm writing to urge you to not authorize the thin blue line flag being flown at our buildings. This flag has been used as a sign of racism and insurrection in the past and is deeply offensive to many people, including myself. Todd Bryson, Fenton, Michigan. That is all I have for written comments.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Nolden.
Actually, I just wanted to have a couple of words really quickly. One, I'm in support of Police Appreciation Month because I do believe that they're needed and they do a wonderful job. What I'm not in support of is the flying of this flag on our building. And what I'm going to do is just give a brief history of where the thin blue line statement actually came from. William H. Bill Parker. I know most of you guys don't know who he is, but you can Google him. William H. Bill Parker. He was the Los Angeles City Police Chief from the 1950s to 1966.
he was an ambiguous racist. This guy coined that phrase and used it to actually draw a line in the sand between brown and black people in Los Angeles County, or the city of Los Angeles during the early 50s all the way to 1966. He was such a biased individual that when they hired black police officers in the city of Los Angeles, Bill Parker wouldn't allow them to have white partners. In many of his public statements and many of his speeches from the 1950s all the way through 66 when he died, he used that term, the thin blue line. Actually, some of the things that he used in some of his statements was he called the immigrants that came from Mexico, he said that they should return to their tribes. He also called black people as monkeys in zoos. He was one of the catalysts from the 1965 Watts riot. So if you're going to do a real deep dive and talk about the thin blue line, you really should do your research, because you know, one thing about me, and people know, I love to read. This entire weekend, I was reading. I read one dissertation, it's 316 pages, that talk about the thin blue line, and it had William H. Bill Parker all the way through it. He was a police officer that was born in South Dakota, went into the Marines, became a Los Angeles City police officer in 1927, 1927. And he died in 1966. So if you're going to really embrace the thin blue line and you want to talk a little bit about it, please, police officers, and I understand the sheriff from, police chief from Flushing was talking and trying to give a historical update on that. But if you're going to do your research and you're going to speak on something, please make sure you understand where the thin blue line actually originated from and who popularized it in the 1950s all the way through 1966. So when this resolution actually comes up, I will be making an amendment to take out the flag with the thin blue line through it. So I just want to give a brief update on it. Each one of the commissioners, I just forward you a link to one of the articles that I did in the researching and looking this up so that you can read it for yourself. You know, because I know some of you guys will read it, some of you guys are not going to read it because you already have your mind made up. But I just wanted to give a brief historical perspective on it. William H. Bill Parker, Los Angeles City Police Chief, that was an ambiguous racist in the 1950s all the way through 66. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Shoemaker.
is this time for public comment so I can have my rebuttal? Because I think we went out of procedure. Out of respect for Commissioner Nolan, I've not said anything, but I thought that was still time for public comment, and public comment was not closed.
Okay, can we move?
They actually did say public comments were closed. That's why I spoke.
Do we move into communications?
So can we move on to communications at this point?
It was before communications.
Okay. Public comment is closed. We're on communications. We do have a line of communications from our Director of Administration.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we have before you, I gave it to you, I think everybody that's on site, and I forwarded a copy to Commissioner Pepin as well. It's a resolution that was given to us by Corporation Counsel concerning with the 911 vote. We have to notify the state of Michigan that the voters approved it and that they're going to levy that by the 15th. The reason it wasn't on the agenda is because the vote was just last week, and we had to wait for the Board of Canvassers to approve or work through their process. So that'll be add-on number 1 or A4 under the agenda, if someone could make that motion.
I move to add item A4 to the agenda.
Been moved to add item A4 to the agenda. Is there support?
Support.
It's been supported. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion on that item, Mr. Clerk, please take roll.
Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Commissioner Ellenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. Commissioner Shoemaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. And Commissioner Nolden?
Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Motion passes 9-0.
Okay, moving on, reports, item A1.
Mr. Chair, I move item A1.
Support.
It's been supported. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Mr. Clerk, please take roll.
Commissioner Ellenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. Commissioner Shoemaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Commissioner Nolden?
Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Motion passes 9-0.
Mr. Chair, I move item 2A.
Move item 2 through 3.
Sorry, a motion was already made. A motion was already made. Point of order.
Second for 2 through 3.
Motion was made to move item
Or
2.
two.
Is
Oh,
there
we're gonna
support
sit.
for item 2?
Yes.
Oh, you guys.
Support. There's a lot of noise in the background.
It's been
Wow.
moved and supported.
Wow,
Item
Mr.
2,
Chair,
is
that's
there any
just wow.
discussion on that?
Sure. Yes. May I, Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Shoemaker.
Well, during public comment, there's a lot of statements made that we should not be honoring any group. And once again, this is a group. So if we're going to use that as one of the cop-outs, this should be no. I'm in total support of it. I think what we've done by allowing people with their little plans isolate, so we can't pulpit it like we did last time with moving all 3 motions at the same time, kind of odd. The courtesy and disrespect that was shown 2 weeks ago, and now, guess what? The same thing moving forward. It's very shameful, but I'm in support of this. But for those of them in the audience who called in, this is another factor that we are supporting one group other than another. So just so when we vote, you guys, that's one of your reasons for voting against the other. This is out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please take roll.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. Commissioner Shoemaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Commissioner Nolden?
Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. And Commissioner Ellenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. The motion passes 9-0.
All right, moving on to item A3, Resolution 2021-361.
Move it.
It's been moved. Is there
Move 3,
support?
move 3 and 4.
It was already moved as one item.
That is correct.
I was the gentleman who put the motion forward, so therefore I asked that we move 3 and 4.
You can make a friendly amendment, or you can withdraw it and redo it.
I'll withdraw it and move 3 and 4.
Okay, it's been moved, items 3 and items 4. Is there discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Winfrey?
I'd like to separate item number 3.
Okay, I have to ask for our
Support.
Parliamentarian whether or not we can do that.
So he can ask for a motion for division of a question that would split a motion into separate motions.
Okay, does it have to be supported?
That does need to be supported.
Okay, and then is
There
there a
was a
separate
support.
vote on that?
I'll support it.
Okay, it's been moved and
Chair.
supported to separate the 2 items. Commissioner Shoemaker?
Mr. Chair, how come I was not given that opportunity 2 weeks ago?
I'm not aware that there was a motion for that, but
He was the second.
Wow. We can see partisan politics at work here, and I don't care what side you're on. I know you may maybe.
Mr. Chair, per Robert's rules, the motion to split a question is not debatable.
Okay, the motion is to split the two items. It's not
No,
debatable
it's just-
according to the parliamentarian. So if Mr. Clerk would please take roll to split the items.
No, actually, it should be discussion purposes or the vote on the split items.
This is the vote to split the items.
The vote is
Okay.
just to split the items, which is non-debatable. So Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Shoemaker?
No.
Mr. Shoemaker, no. Commissioner Davis?
No.
Commissioner Davis, no. Commissioner Newman?
No.
Commissioner Newman, no. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Commissioner Nolden?
Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Commissioner Ellenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. And Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. The motion is 6 yes, 3 no.
All right, motion did pass to split the item, so we will move on to item A3. Is there any discussion on it?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
We do have Commissioner Newman and Commissioner Winfrey.
I served in law enforcement 20 years, and this is just sad. This is ridiculous. We asked to fly the flag for 1 week out of the year to honor law enforcement. I understand that EMS and first responders should be also shown the same respect, and I agree with that. If there's a way we can incorporate them with another flag, I don't know. But I think with all this animosity at a time like this is just sad, and we need to unite and be together, come together and work through this and not argue and go back and forth like we are. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Winfrey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, in addition to this flag having, just tremendous racial overtones, the flag is not even a legitimate flag. Not only did it alter the American flag, but this flag was created by a 19-year-old student who exploited the phrase to make money, to capitalize on the phrase. And here we are debating about an enterprise that was created by a 19-year-old. So I will stand firmly against it, and I encourage all of my fellow commissioners to do likewise.
All right, we have Commissioner Clemens.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I do believe that this is a very nuanced topic. We've heard from folks both in the public and on this board that have a lot of opinions on both sides. I agree with what Commissioner Newman has said about honoring all of our frontline workers and first responders. And I believe there's a lot more discussion to be had, and as such, I move to refer this to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee to get their opinion and recommendation.
You might as well send it to die.
Support.
Been moved and
I think we need to vote on the motion on the floor first. There's a motion on the floor already.
And this is a subsidiary motion to refer that.
Boy, we're gonna have to go back to a lot of tape then, because there's a lot of procedures to follow them.
All right, there's been a motion moved and supported to refer this back to the DEI committee. Is that a debatable
Is this
motion?
the correct committee it should go to?
It is debatable, so if there's any discussion, Commissioner Shoemaker.
And we have a second on this?
Yes, it was supported.
Thank you. You know,
Any discussion, Commissioner Shoemaker?
oh, I've got a ton of discussion, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Please, go ahead.
You know, I've been down here 2.5 years, and I've worked with almost all Democrats the last time. And I can honestly say that I'm not only proud to have worked with them, I can say that I consider them individuals that I would almost call, I would probably call friends. This has become such a divisive group. It saddens me. Whether I followed procedure 2 weeks ago or not, I asked as a courtesy. As a courtesy. And this is where we are as a nation. One group had the entire power, and guess what? This is what happened. We're going to talk, let's have a discussion. This is going to go to this committee, and let me tell you, I'm the only conservative on there. And guess what? It's going to die. Mr. Clemens knows this. It's a game to him, I understand. To the men and women in blue that serve us, it's not a game. It's not a game to me. This flag is flown at funerals. And I'm not going to get the opportunity to speak about this resolution because evidently we're going to table this because that was the plan. That's what I've heard was going on. So be it, but I am going to say a few things. One, if we're going to abolish flags for the symbolism, the American flag is used multi-times by supremacists. So is your answer to ban that flag too for everyone? State flags were used. In addition, should we ban those? The flag I'm proposing is not the red, white, or the black, white, and blue. I'm proposing this flag that sits behind me right here. Not anything else. I know I fly the one behind me otherwise, but this is the flag that we are proposing. Also, if you really think about it, commerce is really what decides what society's movement is. The Confederate flag was very offensive to people, and guess what? Amazon, Sears, Walmart quit selling that flag. Guess what? Log on. You still buy this flag. So the majority of the public, if it did think this was offensive, they'd have it down, because guess what? It's not good for business. You know, I'm just saddened the fact that, guess what? We can't even allow a motion to go through, and you're going to send it to the death chamber, and you know it is, because that's all that's on it. I am the only conservative there, sitting there. And we talk about diversity and all this other stuff. That's wonderful. But everyone's voice is to be heard. Just because their voice was heard before or their race's voice was heard before does not mean it should not diminish their standing on any committee or any place in this nation. I find it deplorable. I'm saddened that our board has got to this because I'm going to tell you the last 2 years before with my Democratic colleagues, I can tell you all that we may have fought, we may have disagreed, but I can tell you this, they all were respectable enough that if you asked for something, they were willing to work through it. I got much more to say, but I guess we're already on the way. I will let it go. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr.
Is there
Chair.
any other discussion?
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair?
Commissioners, you may have slid by this now, but you won't slide by it come election time.
Yeah, I did a good job. I did really well.
Okay,
Hey.
are there any other commissioners?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Commissioner Davis wants to speak.
I would like to speak too.
Mr. Young, you're out of there.
You're afraid to vote. We gonna keep them in there. You feel me, like, hey, Justin, man, let's go. Let's move.
We haven't even voted yet, so I don't know why everybody's leaving, but Commissioner Newman.
I would like to say that I am not against our flag, our thin blue line flag. I honor the flag. I honor what it stands for. I just think that if we could incorporate EMS and the other first responders somehow to honor them at the same time, it would be beneficial and respectful. I don't know if there's a way to do that or not, but.
All right, is there any other, do you have anything else?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Davis?
I would just like to say we did not get this respect 2 weeks ago. The three were moved. You guys knew that some people were voting differently. I think we're wasting time instead of bettering our community. I think we are spending time trying to politicize everything that is being pushed through. 2020 was one of the deadliest years for police officers. 362 died in the line of duty. This flag is to honor those people that have died. So let's not politicize this. Let's not let certain groups hijack its intent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Ellenberg.
yes, I know that in the past, we have basically done May as Officer Appreciation Month. I think the flag has been definitely, I have nephews and family that are police officers, and I basically didn't know the history of the thin blue line. It was brought to my attention on this past weekend, and, I always thought it as, in respect of fallen officers, just as if we do, Veterans Day or Memorial Day. So, to me, this has been very offensive to some and a proud thing for others. I respect the service and the people that put their self on the line every day when they, put their uniform on and they protect our community. And in no way do I, wanted to just respect them, because it's a very needed job in our community and for safe for everyone. So, but if this flag is offensive to someone that's thinking that it's racist or whatever, and someone to hijack this as their own symbol, shame on them. When I seen it fly behind, Commissioner Shoemaker, I was proud, but I didn't look at it as a white supremacy, because I looked at it as a respect for an officer. And, shame on me for not knowing that. I don't think that, Commissioner Shoemaker looked at it as a white supremacy thing. I think he looked at it as respect for officers and for fallen officers and people that have stood up to protect us, just as if the armed forces protect us with our American flag. So if this is causing a controversy in my community and it's hurting anybody, all I would like to do is make May Appreciation Day for all officers in the state or in Genesee County. And I think that's what it's meant to do. But if this flag is going to cause harm to anyone, and it's not disrespect for any of our officers in the FAR, but I just don't want that hurt from anybody. And obviously, we all have interpretations, and so we need to correct that. And I talked to Officer Newman and Commissioner Newman. She's wearing a bracelet that was given to her 30 years ago with the thin blue line in it because she was an officer. And I think somebody hijacked it. She's absolutely right. They hijacked this and made it a mockery of their own. And to me, I feel very sad that it's come to this. But anyway, I definitely support our officers and any type of symbol. But if it's going to cause this major controversy and hurt, I don't feel that should be done. So, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Nolden.
Yeah, once again, I just want to go on record that I'm definitely in support of the police officers and the work that they do here in the community. My only issue is the flag with the blue line in it. Really, it was the badge, and it was a thin blue line that went over the badge for a fallen officer. So I don't know how that transpired into the flag, but that is just my take on it. But I am in support 100% of the police officers and the work that they do. I'm just not in support of flying the thin blue line flag. And since this is actually going to committee, I'm going to throw another issue out there. We have Juneteenth coming up. So if we're going to talk about flying the thin blue line flag for police officers during Juneteenth, can we fly the red, green, and black flag? So could you actually add that to the agenda item as well? Because if we're going to talk about flying some flags, and we're going to talk about that, Juneteenth is a national holiday all around the United States too. And a lot of people that don't understand what Juneteenth is when the slaves in Texas found out that they were free. So it's all of the teens in June. So if we're going to have this discussion, I would like to put that on the agenda as well, to also fly the red, green, and black flag during the week of Juneteenth. Thank you.
All right, this is not, as clarification, this has not been referred to the DEI committee. There is a motion on the floor to refer it to the DEI committee. We have not voted on that. Do we have any other discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Newman, then Commissioner Shoemaker.
I would just like to go on record to say that I support the law enforcement officers and I stand with them.
Thank you. Commissioner Shoemaker.
thank you, Mr. Chair. If we're so concerned with the fence of flags, then 2 weeks ago you wouldn't have voted on a flag that would offend many Christians, many of faith, religious faith, Jewish, Muslim. You wouldn't have done that if it was about that. It's not about that. It's about a political agenda to go from there. We live in a world where officers are being called in for shots fired, and there's no shots fired until they get there and they're ambushed. I proposed this because I wanted to let them know that when they see this, Genesee County is a place where they would want to come to work. And not just if they're here working, if they want to get a job. But that was said to me about the flag that we approved 2 weeks ago. And you know what? I said, okay, that's actually one of the few points I'll agree with. But this, what we're telling people when you apply here and they're being attacked all over the world, or all over the United States, is guess what? This is not welcome. And the fact that it's hijacked, any symbol can be hijacked. Back to the point, American flag is. I've seen these white supremacists fly Chevy. Do we not buy Chevy anymore? You guys are going to line up to buy Chevy. So it's politicized, it's sad. What you should be more concerned with even in this flag is the fact that we have divisiveness on a level in this board that hasn't been here, and I've been here 2 years, so if you want to blame me, so be it. But guess what? I don't think you saw this from Mr. Shoemaker at that point. I'm very disturbed by it. And you know what? I'm sorry, you're sending it to committee, Mr. Chair, that guess what? You know it's going to die, and it's a shame. It should go to a real committee where there's actually 3 members of this board, yourself and Commissioner Clemens and Commissioner Winfrey, if you want to make that the committee. But when you're sending it to a committee of the whole community, guess what? That is not a committee as far as I'm concerned with this board. And like I said, do what you want to do. I think I've been railroaded. As far as this going through, I think this whole resolution's been railroaded because guess what? You can't even afford your fellow commissioners' courtesy. We've gotten to the point, this is where we are. And if this is the way we're going to play the rest of the 2 years, then so be it.
Mr. Chairman?
We should be ashamed. The people have sent us down here to do this, and you know what? We're doing this with a friggin' almost $7 million deficit this year, and we're continuing on there instead of conducting the people's business. All I wanted to do is show them that we love our sisters and brothers in blue. That guess what? This flag will show that guess what? You are welcome. We want you to apply here for jobs, that we think highly of you. And yes, like everyone said, yes, there are bad seeds in every form of society, and I don't think anyone will ever argue that. But guess what? This is what it is. And if you want to say it was hijacked, I don't think it was hijacked. I guess what few people use it, but they also use the American flag. They also use state flags. I've seen Christian flags flown at these silly things. Okay, does that mean for those of us who are Christians or followers of faith, guess what? That when we see it at church, we're going to denounce it and not go to that church? It's shameful. And you know what? I'm really upset with the fact that guess what? The courtesy among commissioners is gone, and this is where we are. So we brought Washington politics and Lansing politics to Genesee County, and I'm just saddened by it. But thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Winfrey.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just want to set the record straight. Police are not the only people that are being attacked in this country. Black folks are and have been for some time being attacked in this country. So to say that they're the only ones that are entitled to a flag is absurd. And I rest my case.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from commissioners? I do have one thing I'd like to say is that it may be an easy way to try to handle this, sending it off to the DEI committee. I'm not in favor of that. I realize I'm one commissioner here, but I think that's a little bit away from the direction of what we were trying to do with the creation of the DEI committee. As a lot of you know, I am retired from the Genesee County Sheriff's Department as a deputy sheriff. I support police. I spent a career working with unions, working to help police, to try to make the lives of those that I represented as a union official better. And, you know, following the death of George Floyd, I talked to several police officers because I was appalled by that. I was appalled by what I saw at that time, and every police officer that I spoke with, every one of them said the same thing. They were appalled by it also. You know, so I don't think that, you know, things are really always the way we would like them to be. I do understand the desire to show support to the police, and I try to live that on an everyday basis. I've supported almost every request by the Sheriff's Department that's come across here in the over 8 years that I've been here, as well as almost every request that's come across from the prosecutor's office to try to make this a better community for us. So again, you know, I'm going to be voting no on sending this to the DEI committee. So that being said, no other commissioners had anything to say. I would ask that you take roll about sending it to the DEI committee, referring it.
Commissioner Newman.
No.
Commissioner Newman, no. Commissioner Peppin.
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Commissioner Nolden.
Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey.
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Commissioner Ellenberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Commissioner Clemens.
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young.
No.
Commissioner Young, no. Commissioner Shoemaker.
No.
Commissioner Shoemaker, no. Commissioner Davis.
No.
Commissioner Davis, no. 5 yes, 4 no.
All right, the item's been referred to the DEI committee. And just as a point of notification, I don't believe that, do you have any meetings coming up directly?
Yes, so the next meeting of the DEI committee is scheduled for this upcoming Monday. As an ad hoc committee, we will add this to the agenda for consideration and any amendments. If that vote will come out, we will either bring forth a new resolution with amendments, or we will bring forth to this board a recommendation not to adopt at the next meeting.
Thank you. Moving on, next item we have is item 4, approval of county 911 surcharge renewal.
So moved.
Been moved. Is there support?
Support.
Been supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Mr. Clerk, please take a roll.
Commissioner Peppin.
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Commissioner Nolden.
Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey.
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Commissioner Ellenberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Commissioner Clemens.
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. Commissioner Shoemaker.
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman.
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Motion passes 9-0.
All right, moving on, Finance Committee, Commissioner Gary Peppin, Chairperson, Commissioner Dominic Clemens, Interim Vice Chair. Commissioner Peppin.
Under C1, we have Resolution 2021-325, approval of a request to create, post, and fill 1 lieutenant position and eliminate 1 sergeant position at Genesee County's Office of the Sheriff.
Can we move items
Mr.
1
Chairman?
through 6? Yes, Commissioner
Yeah.
Winfrey.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, that we, move items 1 through 6.
Is there any objection to that, Commissioner Peppin?
No.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported to move items 1 through 6. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please take roll.
Commissioner Nolden.
Yes.
Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey.
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Commissioner Ellenberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Commissioner Clemens.
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. Commissioner Shoemaker.
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Do we have a report from the chair?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Moving on, Governmental Operations Committee, Commissioner Bryant Nolden, Chairperson, Ellen Ellenberg, Vice Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move D 1 through 8.
Support.
Been moved, it's been supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Chair, please take roll.
Mr. Winfrey?
Yes.
Mr. Winfrey, yes. Mr. Ellenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. Commissioner Shoemaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. And Commissioner Nolden?
Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Motion passes 9-0.
All right, do we have a report from the chair?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner. Moving on, Human Services Committee, Commissioner Charles Winfrey, Chairperson, Commissioner Ellen Ellenberg, Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I move items E1 through 13.
Support.
It's been moved, it's been supported. Is there any discussion? None. Mr. Clerk, please take roll.
Commissioner Ellenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. Commissioner Shoemaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Commissioner Nolden?
Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Motion passes 9-0.
All right, do we have a report from the chair?
No report at this time.
Thank you. Moving on to Public Works Committee, Commissioner Dominic Clemens, Chairperson, Commissioner Sean Shoemaker, Vice Chair.
Item 1, Resolution 2021-352, approval of a grant award for Keep America Beautiful in the amount of $15,000 for the purpose of...
Support.
Can we do these as a group, or
Sure.
would you?
Yeah,
make a
Mr.
motion to
Chairman.
that effect?
Sure, I'll move items 1 through 7.
Moved
Mr.
to
Chair.
7.
Support.
It's been supported. Commissioner Ellenberg?
Yes, I have a question with number 7. We did talk about it. Because of the COVID and the travel, I mean, I don't have a problem with going to this conference, and because I think it's definitely going to be beneficial. But there was some like talk about like the 14-day, where you have to basically isolate yourself. Would that still be cost? Would that be under the county that has to pay that, or that would be they'd have to use their sick leave time and some of their vacation time for that?
If they are required to quarantine, I think that we talked about this in committee because they're traveling on behalf of the county that, we probably would not require that, but we'll have to see if that's even a requirement later in the year.
Okay. 'Cause, I mean, right now at their quarantine, is that picked up by the county, or do they have to use some of their time?
So if they leave the state on vacation and they come back and they are not vaccinated, if they get a COVID test within 3 to 5 days, they have to quarantine for 7 days. If they do not want to get a COVID test, then they would have to quarantine for 14 days if they are unvaccinated.
Okay, could we require that they get tested before they come back?
That's not a Josh question. That would maybe be an Anita question, but we can get that answer for you and get it back to you.
Commissioners.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Barry June, please.
Commissioners, since the committee meeting, we determined that these two individuals can work remotely during that time period, so it would be a non-issue during the quarantine period. So
Okay,
that
all
answers
right,
your
thanks,
question.
Barry.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
All right, is there any other discussion? Being none, Mr. Clerk, please take roll.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. Commissioner Shoemaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Commissioner Nolden?
Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Commissioner Ellenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Motion passes 9-0.
Right, do we have a report from the chair?
No report at this time.
All right, moving on, no unfinished business, no new and miscellaneous business. Other business, we do have a closed session. I will turn the floor over to Corporation Counsel.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, the Open Meetings Act, Michigan Compiled Law 15.268 allows county boards to hold closed sessions in limited instances. One is Section 8E, which allows you to consult with your attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with specific pending litigation. In this matter, this is the matter of Miller versus Genesee County Workers' Compensation case, number GCO 174018-01. That qualifies as specific pending litigation. A 2/3 vote of the Board of Commissioners is required to go into the closed session.
All right, it's been moved to go into closed session. Is there support?
Support.
Been moved, it's been supported. Mr. Clerk, please take roll.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Young, yes. Commissioner Shoemaker? Commissioner Shoemaker, you're muted.
I apologize for that. Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Commissioner Nolden? Muted, Nolden?
You're muted. Yes.
Commissioner Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Commissioner Ellenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. And Commissioner Clemens? Commissioner Clemens, yes. The motion passes 9-0.
All right, we'll go ahead and resume the closed session in 3:01, and let's call it at When you're ready, Mr. Clerk.
Well, I'm just looking to see which commissioners are back.
And I read.
Go ahead. I mean, I think there's a majority of them back now, so.
All right, we'll resume the Genesee County Board of Commissioners meeting, returning from closed session. And do we have a motion, Commissioner Nolden?
So move to follow the recommendations.
Support.
Of our attorney? It's been moved and supported to follow the recommendations of the attorney in closed session. Mr. Clerk, please take roll.
Commissioner Shoemaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker, yes. Commissioner Davis?
Hold on a second.
Commissioner Davis, yes. Commissioner Newman? Commissioner Newman, yes.
Hold on, she's come right here. Something's going on with the computer.
Yes.
Commissioner Newman, yes. Commissioner Peppin?
Yes.
Commissioner Peppin, yes. Commissioner Nolden?
Yes.
Nolden, yes. Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey, yes. Commissioner Ellenberg? You're muted. Push your space.
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenberg, yes. Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens, yes. Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Young. Motion passes 9-0.
Seeing all business has been concluded, we are adjourned.
Just give me a second to go down and help Newman, and then I'll be right back.